Okay, recording. All right, welcome back. Spring break is over, and I hope everyone is rested up and ready to get back to work. All right, so I have, actually, I think I want to, I have to change the share here. I want you to see this. So this is this linear pattern. These are like modern drawings of ancient Greek, like linear pattern, which is used in borders, in mosaic, in painting, and sculpture. And so I'm looking at the wave, this sort of cresting wave motif. Now I'm just going to look at it and draw it. Okay, so actually, let me. I just want you to see this wave at the top is what I'm looking at. So if you look up ancient Greek pattern, you would find a lot of this. The meander is this. Let me go back. I'll switch the share back to my overhead camera. Good, there we are. Okay. This is a nice dark pencil. And let's get some of this cleared up. So I'm going to redraw my pattern here. But I think if I want to do the wave is that. It's actually like it will continue. So you can draw something like this out. So this is ancient Greek. And the Greeks, if you don't know much about the ancient Greeks, they're good people to get to know about just because they created architectural styles and decorative, visual elements in decorative arts that we still use, like this. There are a lot of public buildings and old university buildings that are based on Greek and Roman temples from 2,000, 2,500 years ago. Okay, so that is, like an initial sketch here, if I look at it, it's like it gets a little thinner. Cutting this, like the way this, like in the image I'm seeing this, like the end of the wave comes to a point way in here. If you needed to, this cutting this, you're going to be cutting this out of off of a painted piece of paper. So this bringing it all the way back in here as it is in the image might be a little tough to cut that cleanly, but I would always encourage you to try to do things that are more challenging. And if you can't, then you can back it off. Like you can try to just make that less of a curve there. And so initially what I'm doing here, I'm sketching this out because I want to get some idea of what I'm drawing and how to draw it. I haven't measured anything for this initial sketch here, but when I go to put it onto this measured, drafted series of rectangles, then I will be able to. Now, this here is more the width of like 2 of these. So if I were to do this scale of this motif, I would have to have bigger pieces painted. So they would have to be that's 2 by 2, so a 2 by 2 square. So bigger, like maybe a 2.5 like 2.5 inch, half inches squared, so that you would have a little extra to cut off. You could also just reduce the scale of this. Like I don't have to draw it this large. I could make it. You might even just say like if this. Try to fit this into a square. So a square is a rectangle with sides that are equal length. And I'm going to do the old like across the diagonals trick. I don't know if that's going to help me. That's pretty good. It does help. I mean, using geometry, just like sort of freehand geometry, I think can be very helpful. All right, now this is a this pattern does not need to match exactly that of the ancient Greeks. It just needs. I'm using it as a launch, as a point of. I guess it's a place to start, and I can change this in different ways if I want to. I could have that add an extra little bit there. Okay. So beginning to visualize your idea is important. And when you begin and you're not even sure you have an idea yet, you've got to try some things that are visual. I've had students in the past, over the many years I have taught, describe something to me in words in great detail and then ask me, do you think that'll work? And my answer is almost always, well, I don't know. You're going to have to show me. And it's a lot easier and faster to think it up and imagine it in your head and get this image in your head. And that's probably the easiest part. Getting it on paper is more work, and so sometimes I can understand where a person would want to. Nobody likes to waste time. Or I guess it's. I guess I don't feel like if you draw something out, if you spend an hour working on an idea and you realize that's not like this isn't going to work, that's not wasting time. That's spending time to figure out what you're going to do. You need to know not only what you can do, but also what you can't or won't do. And that's what the process helps you to understand and helps you to figure that out. The unique problem solving that we engage in all the time in creative work is time consuming, and there's no way around that. So I think we always have to find ways to get ourselves to at least be willing to engage in the process with no guarantee that the work you're doing is going to be something that you'll proceed with. Sometimes the work you do just tells you what you won't do. Okay, so this here, my wave, I'm going to try this. So here's my, maybe I'll just like try doing like a curve here, circle there. How far up? That's about a half an inch down. So measuring helps. If I draw a curved line, and I can see that I want it to sort of like transition into the circle 1/2 of an inch down. Now I'll make another mark over here, 1/2 of an inch down. Give myself, is it there? Yep. A light line there. It will help me control that go from this corner up to here in a curve. Then I'm going to have this circle, and the circle 1/4 of an inch from the top. You know, it can get a bit obsessive, but it does help if you're trying to draw a repetition of this wave motif. It really helps to put some measured marks down so that you don't, you know, if you're drawing this, and I really encourage everyone to, oh, that's not even quite straight. This mark right here is probably not quite in the right spot. That's close enough, I think. It just helps the work to put a few marks down to keep your, keep it under control. Then I may as well. That is, I want to say, 5/8. Sure, why not? Hmm. 1 inch. No, I'm going to go down 1 inch from. I'm going to make this like an inch total. The circle is going to be 1 inch tall. There. So then I go up. My circle fits in there. That's like a. Yeah, that's a. So it makes this a 1 by 1 square. So here. Here, I can so I can draw like that. Not there. See, mistakes happen. Every other one. There. Circle there, and then this one. And get rid of this stuff from the last time that I don't really need. Make sure we can see this clearly. I've learned as the older I get, the more I work. I tend to see what I'm drawing, and I tend to, sort of like ignore other information down there. So I wasn't even paying attention to these curves going in the wrong direction from some other design. Okay, so this, I'm starting it out like that. And here's my circle. That. All right. Pretty good. Watch out, I'm getting a little mixed up in that menu on the right side. Okay. Now, I've got this down here. Okay, now this was just a sketch, so that spacing is really, it's actually much farther apart than the example I was looking at. This is much better. I don't have to stay within this, like that wave actually comes in the example, the wave comes out a little farther. But I'm just going to try to keep this in. So I want to have it like, I wonder. So I mean, I could change this design. In the original, there's like these guys come like this, like this comes up above, so there's like just like a solid bottom. I could have it come down to the base here. I want to have this cresting wave. It's similar to the color wheel design. When you work this out, like how this is going to look, I would want you to know how it's going to look. So I want you to turn in the drawings you do. Your drawings are really meant as a utility to help you figure out what it's going to look like, so you can make a decision about, so you can make a decision that you're going to use one thing over all the other ideas. You could spend the rest of your life just working on this type of pattern. Some people get really engaged in just doing like one. They get really engaged in one idea, and they spend years working up the same ideas. Here he is. Hey, Elliot, my little baby. Would you? I'm kind of in the middle of something. Oh, he sees paper and he wants to lie down on it. Oh, look here, Elliot. Look at this piece of paper over here. I hope you don't lie down on that. I'm sorry, baby. You're really... Elliot, honey, I'm sorry. I hate to do this, but you got to go over there. Just can't say no to him sometimes. Hey, oh, and your tail. Yes, it's the tail. Boop. You can't have your tail cutting across. There you go. You can sit right there. You can see and be a part of this. Okay. All right, little man. Let's see. This is looking pretty good, so I can see this. Maybe I'll have like have it come down to that halfway line. Okay. That's all right. This is all right. I think I might want to have that. Let's see. Good. So I do want to see what they look like in repetition. If I just decide that, like, this looks great, I'm just going to, bank on it. I might leave too much space here, and I might make this like need to be an enormous pattern. So now this, I would want you, if you come up with a good motif here, don't worry about how long it's going to get. If you've got 2-inch wide pattern tile and it's repeated to 24, like 2 feet, that's okay. Just set it down. If you have to, just set it down on a clean sheet and take a picture of that before you turn it in. Now, okay, better. Well, I think I do like having this maybe there. Yeah, so this could be, so like if I take this, really what I'm going to get is this. That's 1 3/4 by 2. Okay. Mm-hmm. 1 and 2. 2. Need that back. Just trim the claws how they get sharpened. Mm. 1 3/4. 1 3/4. Okay, so I measure off the edge of the sheet of paper to give myself a nice clean rectangle like that. Let's see. Ouch! Where did I put it? 1. Oh, sorry, careful. Don't put your claw through the hole, little guy. Come on. And, oh, you know what? I'm not done with that. Do that. Give this down a 1/2 inch. Like, here's my square. So all I got to do now is make my, if I'm going to use that, I want to make my drawing for my template. Okay. So if I have this measured out well enough, then there they are. This is something to keep you warm. Let's see here. Yes, I want the bottom to be nice and straight, so use a straight edge and a knife. Okay. So I think I'll have good enough control. But there. If I hold the paper on either side of where I'm cutting and pull away from my fingers, cut that away. Let's do this in stages. Okay, this way, should the knife slip, I don't cut into my fingers. I've done it a couple of times where I just like was hurrying and I was like cutting toward my thumb or my fingers and the knife slipped and boy does it hurt. And it's a deeper cut than you would ever make if you were trying to cut yourself. So it's kind of like sometimes it's alarming the force of a horrible deep cut. So don't be careful with this knife. It's not a toy, as I'm sure you know. Okay, now if I need to, if this gets like, this cutting is getting a little small for me to control, don't eat that. He likes to eat tape and drafting dots, and then he gets sick. And then he has to go see the doctor. Good. So you get a little. Get down there. Yeah. There. You can see. There. I don't want the paper to pull up or pull away from the cut. Sometimes the knife can kind of drag the paper. There we go. Am I through? I think I am. All right. Okay. All right. So I want you to base your pattern on something. I don't. I talked in the last video. I talked about using geometry as a way to begin to practice drawing these pattern designs. And that's very helpful when I come to do something like this that's more specific, where I need to use the geometry to make something that relates to something else. It helps me understand how, really, and the Greeks used geometry. The Greeks invented geometry. Pythagoras was Greek. He lived on the island of Samos, and then in a Greek colony in what is now Sicily. All right, so here's my motif. So if I am to cut pieces out of this, where do I have those guys? I don't know if I have large enough pieces. I have some of these. Yeah. Guess I would like put it down on, if this were big enough, I want to paint some more of them for Thursday. I'll do this on Thursday. This is from Color Wheel. Okay. I will take this pencil and sharpen it. So if I did this, here's a couple of drafting dots. So if I take this, tape it, well, you know, I think what I might want to do is just tape it along the bottom. With a sharp pencil, even though this is actually, you know, I think a piece of like the media paper might be better for if you're going to use it to create a template to trace, because the media paper will hold up longer. Yeah. All right. So that just needs to be close enough that I can repeat it. Like that. So actually, let me see. So there's my, that's my tracing. Where the bottom's at. So I need to bring this here. Okay, so this will be the shape that I trace onto the painted pieces when I get them. And I'll just use the same, trace the same thing, and they'll all be more or less uniform in size. Okay. So that, so what do I want to do here with the ancient Greeks? With this, like if I want you to write a paragraph for me about the origin of this design motif. And so what I would do is look up ancient Greeks. We have, Harper College has a library. I would like you to use the library to look up information, because the college wants me to make you use the library. The internet, honestly, is a much more direct route, but sometimes you need to do real research, because the internet is not edited. And you might come across some cool looking site about ancient Greek design. And it could be about someone who doesn't actually, it could be, you know, created by someone who doesn't know so much about Greek design as thinks he knows something about Greek design, and has his own strange ideas about the origins of these, you know, a motif like this. So I will I will make sure there is a link to the library's website, so that you can use the, you know, the Harper Library is open virtually, and you can get help with learning about these things from librarians, and you should also ask me questions. Okay, that will do it for this morning. I wanted to go over this development of pattern design, and on Thursday I will talk a little bit more about this, the research component, and also demonstrate painting. The In Blackboard, in the monochrome pattern design folder, there is a folder called Demos. Down here there are a couple of very short embedded videos that show you some of the process and some of these examples of like mixing a little bit of red into the white paint, getting something very light like this, starting to get a range of this. This is like how many I have before red, but I'm still like there's a gap between this tint of red here and then the actual red. So if you come down to this, yeah, the Blackboard has a hard time with embedded video sometimes. But give it a chance to load and buffer, and then can make this nice and large. I'll let it run through it, get it to settle down a little bit. So you can see first there's a really light one with like white with just the tiniest amount of red. I want you to get almost white with your lightest tint, and tint is the hue plus white. So let's do that again there, and sorry for the Cloverfield camera work, but I was just holding it with one hand. There you go. Brush it out, brush it out, brush it out. Because it's very light, I have extra paint on the brush. The very light colors tend to be more likely to be transparent, and I want you to make them as opaque as you can get them. Okay, now here is my there. So this is like after they're all dry, and I made a first cut of these samples. Then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one on the right is not black. That's black with enough red in it that it is not black. So I made all these. I made a little sample of red so I can check to make sure that I have red. And yeah, so like that. So one of the objectives of this is that you can, in terms of color and your understanding of color, is that you will see just how much variation you can get from one hue in a monochromatic scheme. And mono means one, and chroma means color. Chroma refers to the presence of color. And so this is monochromatic. You get different values and saturations of red. So value is lightness and darkness. So this is the very light value over here, and then very dark on the right. Saturation is how much red is present. And so anytime you tint or shade, tinting is when you add white, shading is when you add black. Anytime you tint or you shade it, you lower the saturation. Saturation is how much red is present, and high saturation is it's red and nothing but red. Lower saturation is the hue is present, but there's a lot of something that's neutralizing it, either black or white, gray, or the colors complement. You can darken red with green, and it doesn't turn like I would add green, and it would can look similar to some of these, but it would look a little different because the more green you add, the more you see that the green is there. Optically, they start to separate a little bit. It's pretty interesting. That's the assignment after this one. We're going to do a complementary scheme. All right. That's enough for today. I will see you Thursday